Hey everyone, this is Nitreg from nitreg.com, and today I'm going to be doing a video. It's going to be kind of a conclusion for this riddle that I posted the other day. Basically, the riddle was the third level thinking riddle. It's apparently it's kind of an old riddle that comes in many different forms, but a friend sent this to me, and I'd never seen it before, and I thought it was really interesting. It's something that I've never really thought about before, but it kind of ties in with poker in certain ways. If you guys remember my video that I posted a few weeks back, it was about the different levels of thinking and how to exploit different levels of players. Well, if you're on the third level, um, you're going to be thinking. If you remember, you're going to be thinking about what your opponent is thinking that you have. So that's, and then it goes further and further. So it's like, what does your opponent think that he has, and stuff like that. And it gets pretty in depth. But this is kind of like a little exercise in that. And it doesn't sound like you can solve this riddle at first, but it's definitely solvable, and it kind of uses that multiple levels of thinking. So let's go through this and kind of figure this out, and hopefully I can do my best to explain it. I tried to explain it to my dad, and he completely didn't get it. Well, that, and he doesn't really care. He's just like, all right. But I hope that if you guys are as interested in this as me, you'll find this at least a little interesting, and hopefully you get it. If not, feel free to post down in the comments, and me or someone else will hopefully try to explain this to you guys. But anyway, let's go ahead and kind of break this down and think about it logically, just as a little test or whatever. So what do we know? Well, there's a group of people. They have assorted eye colors. They're on an island. They're all perfect logicians. That's important to know. So they are perfect logicians. So that means they don't make mistakes. It's whatever we figure out, they're gonna instantly already know. And they theoretically know more than us because they're perfect logicians and we're not. But if we can figure things out logically, that means that they know it as well. So every night at midnight, fairy stops by, blah blah blah. Okay, so on the island there are 100 blue-eyed people and 100 brown eyes. So 100 blue, 100 brown. But the problem is that any individual on the island doesn't know if there's like 101 brown eyes and 99 blue eyes, or if there's 100 blue eyes, 100 brown eyes. No one knows these things. Also, just to mention, the guru has green. That's fairly irrelevant in this, but whatever. She has green eyes. So the guru comes out and says, I can see someone who has blue eyes. And exclamation because she's excited about it. I can see someone that has blue eyes. Alright, so there might be a little bit of confusion. I had a little bit of confusion with this. Maybe I could have written a little bit better just from the original, but she's saying that I can see at least one person that has blue eyes. Normal people don't speak like that, so I guess that's just why it's I can see someone who has blue eyes. So if there's one person, she would say this or if there's one person with blue eyes, she would say this. If there's 100 people with blue eyes, she would say this. So that's kind of important to realize as well. So let's, and then obviously I kind of explained, there's no like tricky stuff, like they're learning sign language or goofy things like that. They can't see reflections. They're logicians. They're not internet trolls trying to figure out goofy ways to figure this out. But you get an A for effort if you've thought of something like that. But we're not doing something like that. This is just pure logic. So anyway, I since this was hard, I also gave you guys the answer. I hope you guys saw it. You just highlight over this white part right here. So the answer is 100 blue-eyed people will disappear on their 100th day. So I'll go ahead and give you guys the answer, and then we'll work to it, because I think the interesting part is actually getting to the answer. So, 100 blue-eyed people all leave the island on the same day on the 100th day. I guess that's a little redundant. I could have just said, leave the island on the 100th day. There we go. Little less wordy. Cool. So, Um, how does this happen? You might be asking. This is what I said at first, and it took me a few minutes to kind of figure this out. And everyone I seem to be asking kind of has the same response. Like, I don't get it. Why on the 100th day? If you're kind of like me or some other people I've been talking to, your brain starts turning and you start thinking about, oh, maybe one person leaves, and then once one person leaves, then another person knows that they can leave, and they might be thinking on those terms, and that's a good start, but it's just not quite it. There's a long ways to go logically from there. Because remember, they all leave at the exact same time at the exact same night. They don't leave, one after the other consecutively. So I felt the best way to explain this is visually. I'm a very visual person, and when you get into talking about people's perceptions and all these different logical steps, it gets kind of complicated. So it's easy just to have like little visual placeholders. At least I find that way. As if I'm saying like, oh, you're thinking about what your opponent's thinking that you have, that you think that he has. You forget what level you're on, and it gets confusing. So I'll go ahead and visually display this because this will be a lot easier. So first of all, I think the best way to figure this example out is to start small and then build up from there. So let's just assume that this island has two people on it. Let's say that the very first one is a blue-eyed person. Say that's a blue-eyed. And then let's say that there's another person that has... Oops, let me go ahead and change this. Okay, he has blue eyes. And then let's go ahead and say there's a second person that has brown eyes. And then, of course, there's the guru. She's kind of irrelevant, but oop, I'm obviously a noob with paint. Let me go ahead and there we go, green eyes. Boom. Okay, but she's kind of irrelevant, so I'm just gonna put her over here. I wish I knew how to drag her, but anyway. So anyway, we have three people on the island. We have the guru that just says, "I see someone with blue eyes," at least one person with blue eyes, and then we have two people, one blue-eyed and one brown-eyed. So the let's think about it this way: if you're the blue-eyed person, you hear at least one person has blue eyes, and you look out and you see a green-eyed person and you see a brown-eyed person. So logically, you'd have to deduce that you're the person with blue eyes, and then that night you would disappear. That seems pretty logical, right? If you're the brown-eyed person, you see a blue-eyed person and you see the green-eyed guru. Well, since the other person has blue eyes, you don't know if it's just them with blue eyes or if it's them and you have blue eyes. But how you could know is if on the first night the blue-eyed guy disappears, you know that you do not have blue eyes. But if the blue-eyed person does not disappear, you would know that you have blue eyes as well. If you think about that, you have to think about what the other person's thinking. Because remember, in our first scenario, the blue-eyed person saw that there was no other blue-eyed people, so they left. Now, if you're the brown-eyed person, you know that the blue-eyed person knows that. So, if the blue-eyed person knows that, and he stays the first night, then you too also have blue eyes. Since, obviously, the guru has green eyes, and there's no other people around. So, obviously, it has to be you, right? You have to have blue eyes as well. So, both people can ultimately figure this out, even though they don't know. Now, the blue-eyed guy can figure it out on the first night in this scenario, and the brown-eyed person can figure out only that he does not have blue eyes, and he only figure that out on the second night, because he'll see the blue-eyed guy leave, and then the guru would obviously say they would obviously say that there is no blue-eyed people anymore, because there would be no blue-eyed people anymore. So they would the brown-eyed person would know on the second day where he stands, more or less. And the blue-eyed guy would know the first night. So now, let's make this a little trickier. Let's go ahead. Oh, I guess I could just do this. Copy, paste. And that didn't work very well. Rectangle select, copy, and paste. There we go. Okay, so now there's two blue-eyed people. Okay, so now this is kind of related to what I was talking about logically with the brown-eyed person. Remember how the brown-eyed person did not know the first night whether there was just one blue-eyed person or if there was the one blue-eyed person and they were a second blue-eyed person. So they had to wait for the second night to figure it out. Well, this is kind of the same scenario. So now, if you're in the blue-eyed person's shoes, you kind of have to have the same logic as the brown-eyed person on the first example, because the blue-eyed person will hear that there's at least one person with blue eyes. They'll look out and see, okay, a green and a brown. They're obviously not it. Oh, but there's another guy with blue eyes, and maybe I have blue eyes, maybe I don't. I'm not sure. If I have blue eyes, then the blue-eyed guy would stay, and the second night I would know that I have blue eyes. But if the blue-eyed guy leaves, then I know that I do not have blue eyes. Well, now since we're omnipotent and omnipresent, we know that they both have blue eyes. That obviously on the second night, they will both come to the same realization that they both have blue eyes, since none of them disappeared on the first night. And I hope this is starting to make sense to you, because this is essentially what we're going to do, and we're just going to exponentially grow this logic. So it's kind of irrelevant how many brown-eyed people there are, and it's kind of irrelevant that the guru's color is green. But um, if we think about this logic that we've done so far, we can just logically exponentially grow it, and we can actually kind of write a formula for this logic. So remember how we were talking about how many people have blue eyes, and then how what night they would figure it out. Like for example, in this night, on the third night, they'll both figure it out. In that first example, in this example that we had on the second night, they would figure it out, and then on the first example, on the first night, the blue-eyed guy would figure it out because he was all by himself. Well, we can write a mathematical formula for that, and that would be on the nth day, n number of blue-eyed people will leave, where n equals the total population of blue-eyed people. So therefore, I could pretty much say any number of blue-eyed people are on that island, and whatever day that is, that's when they'll all leave at the exact same time. So if we have 100 people, then we have 100 scenarios of this. If we have 3 blue-eyed people on the third day, 4 blue-eyed people fourth day, 5 blue-eyed people on the fifth day, they'll all come to the same conclusion using the same logic. Because let's just say that there's 5 blue-eyed people, they would say, oh well, then obviously on the fourth day, all the blue-eyed people would leave. Unless I have blue eyes, then it would have to be the fifth day. Now, if the fourth day rolls around and no one leaves, then they know that they have blue eyes, and on the fifth day they would all leave together because they would all have the exact same logic, since they're all perfect logicians. So I don't know. I really hope that you guys have figured this out with me. I hope you guys really enjoy this like I have. If you have any questions at all, I really hope I explained this well. It's kind of complex for a lot of people, and I don't know if I'm explaining this well. Like, it explains it well for me because I'm very visual, and I don't know, this just kind of makes sense in my head. But maybe you learn some other way. So if you still don't have a clue on what I'm talking about or how I got to these conclusions, feel free to post down below in the comment section. Also, be sure to check out nitreg.com. Subscribe to my email list. I'll go ahead and I'm not going to do riddles all the time. This is just like, I just shot out an email as I thought it was interesting, and I post so much content for poker that all my subscribers love, and I don't like spam you guys to death. So go ahead and sign up for that, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're on YouTube. It's up in the top left. I would greatly appreciate that. Every little thumbs up and subscription matters to me. It's fun, and that's why I keep going and doing these videos. So hope you guys like this, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.